Hi, this is part 4 video on how to deploy Azure Data Platform with DevOps Pipeline. In this video, we're going to focus on how to deploy just a new resource group in Azure with Terraform. If you're new to Terraform, Terraform is essentially a tool to deploy infrastructure programmatically and automatically. And it is called infrastructure as a code. And it's a bit like it works like ARM template, but it's my preference and it is quite simple to use. And just to illustrate what we're going to do in this demo, we are just going to use Azure DevOps Pipeline and to deploy just a resource group, nothing else. And I'm just going to call this environment called basic, or this resource group is going to be part of a basic environment. All right, let's head to the demo. See, we've got my resource group here in my Azure portal. This is the resource group from the previous video in part 3. We do need to have this if you want to follow along, because we will need to store the Terraform state file in a blob storage inside this resource group. This is my Azure DevOps pipeline, which we're going to create a new pipeline in a sec. And just to show you the code before we do that, this is my Visual Studio code, and this is the pipeline that we're going to use. As you can see here, manual trigger, Azure using Microsoft hosted agent, Windows. Stages, just stick with one stage at the moment, just dev environment. And then I'm going to have 2 variable groups here, ARM and basic. And in terms of what steps we're going to do, there are 5 steps. First step is to install Terraform. This is installing the latest version as of today, obviously. And then this is initialize the Terraform itself. And it's effectively, it's preparing and all the files that Terraform requires before it can deploy the resources. So it will look at the working directory here. It will use the DevOps service connection that we've created in a previous video. And it will also look at the Terraform state file before. If there's an existing Terraform state file, it will look into that because this is essentially the state where Terraform has deployed something. And we've created this resource group and storage account in part 3 video. If you haven't had that, please make sure you go there and check. So this is the state file that we're going to create. I'm just going to hardcode this one called basic.tf state. All right. So once it's initialized, now we can plan what's going to be deployed. When Terraform plans, it's not going to apply or deploy anything. It just show you what's going to be deployed. If you're happy, then you can apply here in task 4. It's going to do the same thing, but instead of plan, it's apply, and it will actually deploy something in Azure. If I just let that in, and the last step here is actually destroy. So if you want to destroy what you've built, you can just run this step. Okay, and I don't think I need that one. And let me just commit this update apply, just sync that. And since I'm making the change in Visual Studio Code locally, I do need to make that commit into the Azure DevOps. Make sure it's changed. Now, all right, I'm back to the Azure DevOps pipeline. Let's create a new pipeline now. Create a new pipeline. Again, repos git. If you go to your repo, existing YAML, and you want to click part 4. Click continue, and for now I'll just save. And from here, if you go back to pipelines, you will see, if you click all, this one here is the new one. I'm just gonna edit because I want to rename this pipeline. So if I click that one and go to triggers, will just go to my YAML here, and I'll just rename that part for, let's call it Terraform basic. And then make sure if I go to variable in variable groups, I want to link this one and that one. Link that one and basic as well, because we're going to need all these values when we deploying the resource group effectively. I'm just going to call this environment basic. I will just save that in. When I save that, now I'm left with two different pipelines. I'm just going to run part4 pipeline. And there's no variables, there's no stages. We're going to explore stages in the next video in part 5. Just click run. Like in part 3 video, because this is the first time we run it, it will ask for permission. So yeah, click view and then permit. And this will run in a sec. All right, you can see it's running now. And if we just explore what it's doing, as you can see here, it's installing Terraform, initialize, plan. And if we just go to plan, you can see this part here, Terraform will perform the following actions. So it will create a new resource group. That location, that's the name. This is a handy summary here. If you are adding, changing, or destroying, it will show up in the numbers, how many that you are doing that. So Terraform apply complete. It's only just a resource group, so it's pretty straightforward. So if we go to Microsoft Azure, if we click refresh, this will show up. Okay, with nothing in it because we're not creating anything else really. So all right, so we've successfully applied this one. Now I want to show you how to destroy it now. If you're going to destroy this, let's go back to the code, and I'm going to go back to my Visual Studio code, and this is the code, right? Previously we had this, and I'm just going to comment out plan and apply, and I'm just going to in the destroy. You can see the command here in destroy, plan, apply, destroy. Same details, same service connection. If I just make that commit locally, and then I will sync the update to my Azure DevOps online. Just remember that if you are making changes locally, like I am doing now, make sure you sync your change into Azure DevOps repo, which will be reflected in this repo here. You can see now if I check my part 4, this should now only enable destroy. So all right, let's now try to rerun this again. Run pipeline and stages to run. Yeah, just run that one. All right, let's just give a couple of seconds or minutes here. All right, it's running now, and if we just go and explore, you can see it's all in Terraform, init as previously done, and now it's going to destroy that resource group. All right. If I just go back to my pipelines, I'll just wait for this to complete. Okay, now it is done. It's about 2 minutes. There you go. It's tick here. And if I refresh in my Azure portal, this will disappear. As you can see. Yep. So in summary, if you are new to Terraform, maybe it's worth going to a different resource and try to understand Terraform a bit better. But in summary, it's you need to install, and then you initialize, and then you plan. And after you plan what you're going to deploy, you apply or destroy. Thanks for staying around for the part 4 video on how to deploy a basic, just a resource group with Terraform. I hope you find that useful. Like and subscribe as usual. Now we're on to part 5, where we actually deploy the whole thing with Terraform. I'll see you there.